What'd you feel and notice from your team just in terms of having that level of focus that you needed to have throughout the night?
Yeah, we did a good job of staying in the moment tonight. We obviously had a bad taste in our mouth from last game, and we just wanted to control the things that we can control tonight, and staying in the moment is the best way to do so. We could have been better tonight for sure if tonight wasn't perfect, but we gave ourselves a chance by doing so, and we got a W.
Shai, just wondered your thoughts on what the performance that Chet gave you on both ends of the floor there.
Yeah, it was amazing. Hell of a player. Like you said, on both ends of the floor, he affects the game at such a high level. And it's crazy because, like, he's out there just running around right now. Like, he's not – we rarely call plays for him. He rarely, like, gets anything set for him. He's just out there playing off a feel and affecting the game at a high level, whether it's making open shots, blocking shots, offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding. Like, he's just a winning player, and he was a really good version of himself tonight.
Shai, I want to ask you about Dub. I don't know where you feel like this ranks among games he's played as your teammate, but in a game that's physical, in a game with that much shot making, it felt like he rose to the occasion. What did you think of his night?
Yeah, he was special. He was really good tonight. From start to finish, he picked the spots great. He was aggressive. He stepped into everything. He was who he is. He's gotten all these awards this year for a good reason, and he proved it tonight. He's a really good basketball player. It's crazy to think he's so young and has that already achieved. But yeah, Dub was Dub tonight, and I'm happy and proud for him.
Shai, how did you, not just scoring, not the scoring part, but how did you rebound from Saturday's game from an impact standpoint, just from your overall level of impact on the game?
Yeah, I honestly just tried to get lost in the game. Like, I tried not to worry too much about scoring or making plays or whatever it was. I tried to just, like, lose myself in the competition, be aggressive, pick my spots, and doing so really helped. Let the game just come, and I think as a group we did that really well, and it was a main reason why we got the W. We just, like, went out there and competed and played hard, and everything else just fell where it did.
Shai, the other night you talked about how much fun, 2 games ago, how much fun this group has. And I know that the job isn't finished and you're the first person to say so, but can you just walk us through the balance between knowing you're one away from what I imagine has been a childhood dream, something you've looked for your entire life, correct, but also knowing you're still one away?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I think last game was good for us just in terms of, like, understanding that the most important thing is, like, what's in front of you. I think we're a little bit too lackadaisical and comfortable last game in Game 3, and I think we got beat the way we did because of that, and that was a good wake-up call. So I think that will help for sure. But, yeah, it's tough. I would be lying if I said it wasn't. Like, you know how close you are, but yet it's still so far away. To beat a team like this, it takes a lot of hard minutes, doing the right things a lot of the time. So we just got to take it one possession at a time, one quarter at a time, and hopefully eventually we get the game. Yeah.
Shai, we say that big threes are dead in today's NBA. We say they don't exist anymore, but it looks like with you, Dub, and Chet, that they're pretty alive and well. When you go back to training camp, is this what you envisioned, the big shots, fighting back from runs, like you said, Chet doing what he does? Is this kind of the vision from October to now?
Yeah, I think so. We still have so much more room to grow, which is the scary part. Like, I'm 26, which seems old compared to the other two. But yeah, they're 23 and 24. They haven't even hit close to their prime yet. Like, both of them are just out there playing off a feel and their talent. And, like, I'm excited for the future. But yeah, those two are quite the co-parts.
Go ahead, corner. Does being the road villain, is that a new experience for you, and how do you handle that?
You said the road villain?
The villain on the road.
Yeah, it's super fun. It's more fun than, like, I don't know about more fun, but it's like it's pretty up there with like being at home. It's the whole building's against you, chanting whatever they're chanting, screaming whatever they're screaming, and it's your job to go out there and play basketball and kind of shut them up. So yeah, it's definitely fun. It definitely adds more to the game. Yeah, I enjoy it for sure.
Shai, what do you think of Nikhil's performance and then there at the end when he was guarding you? Did it kind of take you back to childhood a little bit?
Yeah, he was really good tonight. I feel like he barely missed. Yeah, I mean, I'm not completely surprised. Like, I know what type of basketball player he is. The night like he had tonight, he is very capable of every night. Like, he's a really good basketball player, great feel, great skill. Like, it's only a matter of time before he blows. And yeah, just being out there on this stage, going against each other for what it felt like half the game tonight was super fun. He got the better of me sometimes. I got the better of him. Stuff we've dreamt about for our whole lives, and it's crazy that it's come to fruition. So it's super cool.
Shai, they say you can't fake desperation. What will it take for this team to sort of match the urgency of the Wolves in Game 5?
We have to want it more than them. We have to want to win the game more than they want to win the game. We have to focus on the things that are going to help us win the game and understand the mindset of our opponent above all.
Shai, just going back to the question before, I mean, your dad's sitting by, his sister Nikhil's mom. What has this time just been like for your family?
Super fun. It's hard because like you're so into it and you can't like just like zoom out and watch it and like soak it all up. But when it's all said and done, we'll definitely have plenty of stories about it. Like I said, we've dreamt about this for so long, and for it to be here and the way it's here is amazing, and it's hard to even put into words. But it's super fun for the family for sure.
Dub, you guys had the lead since about the beginning or mid part of the first quarter, but just stayed within 2 or 3 possessions the whole way. What was the level of focus that you guys had on just the possessions and not the scoreboard?
Honestly, it's exactly that. Like when you start looking at the score, you may start to panic and you start thinking about stuff that you like have no control over. So a lot of it down the stretch is just attention to detail, making the right reads. Can't let one play affect another play. Rebound, like, there's just so many things that go into it, and we did a good job of like talking to each other like through each play, what we want to do, what we want to get accomplished each time. And that's not even going to say that you're not going to make mistakes. Like we didn't do a good job boxing out at the end, so they kept getting like second chance, throwing the corner, getting threes. But I'm just overall like I think our mindset and our pursuit to what we were trying to do was really good the whole game, and we got rewarded for it.
And you had 6 threes. It's a playoff career high for you.
That might be a career high, brother. No cap.
The one where Shai slips it to you towards the end there. What's going through you as you collect that ball? It just seemed like one of those 50-50 plays, and you make the shot.
Honestly, I think the clock was low, so I was just kind of like shoot it, and probably nothing more than that. But just shots in general, you work really hard and shoot a lot of them, so why not shoot them now? That's kind of like my mindset going into it, and just being aggressive, taking what the defense gives me, and make or miss. I still got to go down and play defense on the other end, and that's just kind of like my mindset going into it. But just being ready to catch and make a play whenever he gets off the ball.
With the success you guys have had the last couple of years, there comes a lot of scrutiny. A lot of that's been on you in terms of like, hey, can he be that second scorer they need come playoff time? Obviously, that goes back to the Dallas series last year. To come through like you did tonight, what sort of satisfaction do you have given the spotlight you've been under?
None. I feel like if you're not really good, you're probably not going to have any scrutiny. So just play with it and just keep going. A lot of the people that are talking about me can't do what I do, and I know that, and I think that gives me a lot of confidence. So I just go out there and do whatever the team needs me to win. Basketball is so much more than scoring and making the heroic play every time. There's so many things that go into a game that you can be good at and impact the game, and that's how I see it. But it doesn't bother me. I'm the one that stays late night and shoots and works out and does that, so it gives me a lot of confidence going into my game, and from there I just play.
And tonight you started off hot. You obviously closed strong. What did you feel like, got you in a rhythm tonight, or why do you think you were able to get in such a groove?
Just making quick decisions, being ready to shoot, being ready to play. I think my defense got me in the game as well, but just being ready to play off of my team and trust each other to make the right plays and make shots.
Jalen, you talked about a sense of urgency going into this game, or at least after the blowout loss. At shoot-around, you talked about just wanting it more, essentially, or just being the team that goes out there, executes at a higher level, would win. How did you see all that play out in that second half, especially when it was like you guys were ahead, but they weren't that far behind, and you just have to give them that, that little extra towards the end that turned into a win?
Yeah, this journey is not easy, and it's not meant to be easy. So these experiences make us better. But just down the stretch, like I say, you can't really you got to know the score, obviously, but you can't let that affect the game. You know what I mean? They're going to score. They're a really good team. They're going to hit tough shots. We're going to hit tough shots. That's how the game goes. But I think a lot of it is just who can kind of stick with it the most. And I thought we just did a good job executing down the stretch, playing the clock right, understand how many fouls we had. Just like little stuff, I think down the stretch we were really good at.
And then just another one, Jalen, you're one win away from the NBA Finals. SGA was just in here talking about how you've got these accomplishments, and it's incredible to think, you're only in your third season. Is it surreal to think that you're one win away from making the NBA Finals?
I try not to get too ahead of myself with it, to be honest. There's still a lot of series left, and we still have to go do a job this next game against a team that's very good. So that's honestly how I think about it. I think after the season, whenever that is, I'll be able to reflect on it, and that's more the time to enjoy it. But right now, it's just win the games.
Dub, I know Shai wasn't drafted here, but he's basically been raised here. Obviously, you two were part of the same draft. When you look at tonight, the way you guys played off each other, how much has, how organic this thing has been played into the way you guys have, been able to play off each other and the synergy there?
You talking about me and Shai specifically?
You, Shai, and Chet.
I don't know. We're all really cool with each other, to be honest. I hate to give such a boring answer to it, but off the court chemistry seeps into on the court, and we've just grown up together. Obviously, Shai's a little older than us, but we've just been through a lot of experiences in a short amount of time that either force you to trust each other or grow apart, and we've grown closer to each other, and that's just kind of how we play, live and die by trusting each other, and then whatever happens from there is what happens.
And for either of you, if Shai was in here talking about the three of you, and he was saying the scariest part is that, the two of you haven't even hit your primes yet. What do you two envision that the three of you can possibly be together?
I think we're going to be as good as we put the work in to be. So I'm not going to sit here and make some big statement for you. You know what I'm saying? But we're very confident in how hard we work, and very confident in each other's abilities, and we all want to see each other succeed. So that's a good recipe for success, and we just have to kind of execute on it.
Chet, just curious what it means to you to have this kind of impact and this kind of performance in a place that means so much to you here.
Yeah, it's great. Obviously, last game wasn't, how I kind of wanted to show up in my home city, with a lot of friends and family watching and everything. So it was great to be able to kind of bounce back this game and, come away with the win. That's the most important thing outside of that. But I also felt like I played a better game. I still had stretches where I could be a lot better, and I'm going to go back and watch that and try and clean that up. But as a team, as a collective, I think we're a lot better tonight. We looked at some of the things that the Wolves switched up last game and made adjustments with, and then we were able to be better in those areas. And when you can kind of make adjustments and then also just come out and play harder, play better, play more hungry. It's a good recipe.
Chet, you were talking about the work earlier, and I just wonder about you put a ton of investment into your 3-point shot throughout the course of this year. Last summer it was a lot on the handle, and we saw those drives and spins and the attacks. What's it feel like in a game of this magnitude to feel and see that work that you've put in come to fruition?
Yeah, it feels good to see the ball go in. I've worked a lot on my shot. When I do miss, I know why I missed. I've kind of gotten to that point. That doesn't always make it easier, especially in a long season with lots of ups and downs. Where there's you might be all bumped and bruised here, and what I'm saying, that kind of messes with the prep of shooting and everything on the court and before the game and everything. So just sticking with it and staying confident in the work. I've had series already where I'm shooting 40% on 6 attempts, and series where I'm not shooting so great on. I'm trying to keep the attempts up. I'm not scared to let it fly. I put the work in for a reason. At the end of the day, if I'm not shooting, it's going to be because of my teammates. If they stop passing me the ball, then I won't shoot the ball. You know what I'm saying? So, but if they pass it to me, they expect me to shoot it, and that's the way I look at it. I put the work in to make shots, and if that shot didn't go in, then I know what I have to work on to try and make the next one. I'm kind of gotten to that point.
Defensively, you guys put a lot of attention on Edwards tonight. You didn't let him have a whole lot of space, guarding him damn near to half court. What was the thought behind that aggressiveness? Was it like a head of a snake thing? Were you just comfortable giving up open shots to other guys? Like, what was the thought process with how you defended on the night?
I don't think you're ever comfortable giving open shots to anybody. Like, this is a good team. They're in the Western Conference Finals for a reason. You don't just give anybody open shots. Obviously, through the course of a game, it's hard to play a perfect game. So there were guys who got looks that, we feel like we can be better and make tougher. But when there's a really good player who they're trying to get free, if you just let that guy get free, you're not going to be in the Western Conference Finals. So we didn't do a good job of that last game, so we had to be better tonight, find ways to make things tough on him. Nobody would get up here and lie and say, no, we're not trying to make it tough on him. He's a good player. So we got to continue to do that. But it can't be at the expense of making it easy on other players. We got to do both.
Go ahead, Steve, and then Joel. For both of you, you're one win away from playing basketball in June. How do you envision the crowd Wednesday night, Game 5 at Loud City Paycom? How loud will it be?
We don't even need to answer that. We know. You know.
Yeah, you'll be there. Hopefully really, really loud.
Yeah.
Probably the loudest of the season. We also got to give them a reason to be loud, if you know what I mean. But going back to like my earlier statement, just we understand what's ahead of us, and if you look too far ahead, that's when you start to stumble. So, like, it's 1st to 4, so we haven't won the series yet. We still have a job to do, and like I said, you just can't look too far ahead. But definitely excited to go back to OKC and play.
So what I was saying down there was that Dylan was saying that, as part of why you rose to the occasion, he said that you sort of add chips to your shoulder as the year goes on. Like, could you describe some of those chips, where they come from, and where you maybe found the motivation to rise to the occasion tonight?
Nope. That's an internal thing that I keep to myself, but we got a lot of them. Go ahead, bro.
This will be the last one to Rylan.
Chet Shai was in here talking about how, like, one of the most important things about your game, or impressive things about your game, was that some of these buckets that you're getting, they're not even like designed plays for you, that they don't have to run a ton of plays to get you to your spots. Like, what goes into picking your spots to be aggressive whenever it's not a set play and it's not something that the team's expecting?
I'd say the big thing is just trying to have fingerprints on the game, understanding that a lot of our set plays are designed through the ball handler, and outside of that, we're all kind of just playing off of them. And when you have really good players that the other team needs to stop, they're going to have to help and recover from somewhere. So just understanding that we have to make them pay for that, and just trying to be aggressive. Trying to make the right play too. It's not always score. Sometimes it's make the extra pass. Sometimes it's find the next action, whatever it is. Just try to leave fingerprints on the game and make winning plays. Sometimes that'll be go score. Sometimes it won't be. But at the end of the day, I'm out there trying to win. So,
what did you see from your guys in terms of playing the game and not the scoreboard?
Yeah, it was a 48-minute game. It was really physical. There's a lot of contact allowed on the perimeter, on the glass. It was just a brawl from the jump. That was the first 5 to 7 minutes of that game was unbelievably physical, and the guys just battled up and had to withstand a lot of runs by Minnesota. Give their role guys credit. The shot making was ridiculous. So for us to overcome that on the road the way we did was a great team win.
Mark, how much of that close, the poise involved, did you sense was maybe a product of some of the games you've already played in this postseason?
The what involved? I'm sorry.
The close and just the poise involved.
Yeah, I thought we did a good job of moving the scoreboard late in the game. Good situations, down the stretch there in the possession game. So I thought the guys did a great job just taking a possession at a time, stacking them up, and running through the game.
And it felt like, Dub, Shai, Chet all had their turn at making big plays. Just what'd you see as far as the way they played off each other?
Those guys were all great. I mean, Dub, the Tony set early, and then the shot making late was huge. Chet was a monster. Played majority 5 all night and battled up. Shai obviously was brilliant. And all the guys, I thought Kaysen gave us a great lift. Caruso gave us a great lift. I thought Dort's tone early in the game defensively was particularly important in that one. So everybody that went in the game, gave us a huge contribution in that game.
What stood out to you about J-Dub's scoring tonight in particular?
I mean, he's still learning. He's a young player still, and he has these, these are rich experiences for him. And last game, they did a good job on him. They got him, forced him right, kept him on his right hand. Thought he fought that a little bit. He's trying to fight to his left hand, and tonight he just kind of took what they gave him and still found his cracks. He was still able to get in both directions, but he just was in control most of the night. I mean, he never seemed sped up. He never seemed like they were dictating anything, and that's what the great offensive players can do. And, just a great adjustment by him tonight in the game. I thought he was outstanding offensively.
Mark, you guys have won in a lot of different ways this postseason, but to come off a historic loss the way you did, to have Chet, SGA, Jalen combine for 95 points, what did you learn about this young group now one win away to come back and win that way?
I learned nothing. This is they're easy to bet on. This team's easy to bet on. We had a very normal couple days leading into it, very normal shoot around today, and there's just kind of a sense, an internal sense that we were going to come out and it would be a much different game, just tonally, and it was. So didn't learn anything about the resilience or the perseverance, but we're still growing. These are all new experiences for us. It's the first time we've been up 2-0 this late in the season, first time we've been up 2-1 this late in the season, and now it's the first time we've been up 3-1, and we have to handle that correctly. But from a resilience standpoint, this is the last group of guys you need to worry about.
And yet this is, one of the youngest groups in the league, and the maturity that they're displaying, to your point, now up 3-1, knowing what the next step is and knowing what that means. It's a childhood dream for so many. I don't think advice is what you have to give these guys, but what's the message that they give each other and you give them?
We have to approach the next 48 hours the same way we approached the last 48 hours and just get back to our baseline. That's our deal. The gaps between the games for us, we try to make as consistent as possible. The guys do a great job of that. And we just need to focus on winning possessions in Game 5, and not try to win the game, not try to focus on anything else, just get ourselves very present, still improve. There's a lot of things we can improve on from that game. I thought we took a huge stride forward offensively, but defensively they gave us some problems tonight, obviously. So we got to learn those lessons and keep getting better. That's how you navigate a series.
Mark, the last few possessions were kind of chaotic, but at the same time, how do you think your guys handled that? And also, we saw the fouling up three obviously go awry. This was sort of the redemption game for that. What'd you think?
Nice, Joe. Get your shots in. Yeah, I thought the execution down the stretch was really good. I mean, that was a possession game. That's what you invite when you do that. We had fouls to give. We had to get the ball in bounds. Timeout management, lineup management, the rebound at the end, all that stuff. So the guys did a great job. Those are situations that we've been in before, that we work on regularly. We handled them very well. We didn't execute as well as we could have in the game you're referring to. Just like any other game, we strip the emotion, take the lessons, apply them forward, and tonight we executed really well.
You mentioned Minnesota's role players. Nikhil obviously hit huge shots, was guarding Shai down the stretch. I know you're not thinking about it from just those guys' story and them sort of growing up together, but what did you think of Nikhil's game and just those two guys going at it?
And he was amazing. The game he put together, DiVincenzo, McDaniels, it felt like those guys didn't miss, and some of those were breakdowns on our part. I mean, they were really clean on some of those. So some of that stuff we can address and make it a little harder on those guys. They did a really good job attacking offensively. I thought both teams tonight had their way offensively. So we got to learn from that, but you got to give those guys credit. They delivered. They stepped into those shots and really, shot it ridiculously efficiently. So for us to be able to escape with a road win when the other team's bench and role players shoot like that is fortunate for us.
Anybody else? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Coach, and at the end, on the second free throw, what was the conversation between your bench and I guess the players? Were you expecting that? Where were you guys kind of at that point?
For him to miss that free throw?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were expecting that with they're out of timeouts and that's short of a clock. That's a situation we work on. We've been in that. We had that in the Clipper game. We had that in one of the Memphis playoff games after we fouled up three in those ones. So, we have a plan in those situations, and the guys executed it. Shai got a great loose ball there, and we executed every part of the end of the game really well tonight.
Mark, people say that you can't fake desperation. What will it take for this team in sort of in a closeout game against a team with their back up against the wall in Minnesota?
Yeah, I think we've seen that the last two games from Minnesota, and we're expecting nothing less in terms of the force and the physicality and the energy that they're going to come and play with. They've established that these last two games. I didn't think they were much different tonight. They were really, really ready to play. That was a high level start to the game. Both teams were ready to rock. I thought the difference tonight was we leveled up with them, whereas in Game 3 we didn't. But, we're expecting their best punch again in Game 5, and we have to throw ours if we want to win the game.
Obviously, Hardenstein didn't play a lot. That's usually one of the guys that sets a physical tone for this team. What comes to mind when you think of the ways that the other guys came out and maybe set a physical tone?
Yeah, we're going to need Hart. He's really impactful for us. We took a look at some different things defensively tonight by downsizing, and we thought that would give us some offensive fluidity as well, which it did. But how these series go, and every game is different. That wasn't the plan going in, was to, play that small the entire game. But with the way the game was unfolding and the way we were able to get some of our stuff into the game with the smaller lineups, we decided to stick with it. So Game 5 will be different. It'll be different minutes, different rotations. It'll unfold as a different game. And he's a really important player for us, obviously, with his physicality, his defense, his offensive physicality as a screener, rebounder. So need him.
For Minnesota, Randall had just 7 shots and Edwards had 13. What did you like about just how you guys limited their opportunities tonight?
Yeah, we did a good job on those guys. I thought Dort, like I said early in the game on Edwards, was really, really on it. He set a great tone and established a level of energy and activity with him that was important. We really made him work for the ball. We really made him work for his shots. Same with Randall. I thought the physicality on him was outstanding. We had our chest on him early. We had the crowd around him. And then, those guys did a pretty good job of moving it. As quiet of a night as it might have looked like they generated a lot of creation for that team, and those guys made shots. So it wasn't like a shutdown. They took what we gave them, and those guys delivered. There's things we can improve on to try to take, not take everything away, but make it a little bit harder in the secondary parts of those plays. But I thought our initial tone on those two players was really important.
Mark, going back to Jalen Williams, back in training camp, a point of emphasis was to increase his three-point volume. He was so good at the rim and in the mid-range last season. How rewarding is it to see in a big-time moment like tonight for that increase in volume and the work that he put into that come to fruition for you?
Yeah, he's planted those seeds. The thing I'm impressed with about him, though, is his ability to learn from his experiences very quickly is impressive. And so he had some games in the Denver series that he wasn't great offensively. He just looks at it in a very intentional way, and he improves. And then same thing, they really were loaded up off of him, and he got himself to windows. He got himself open shots. Shai did a good job of finding him. But I just think his carryover and his growth from game to game is exciting because he's, like I said, he's still a young player, as great of a player as he is.